Hi there, Felicia coming to you from my house and my living room. And for those of you not seeing this, because I record this also on video, I am sitting in the morning, still in my PJs, no makeup, on my couch, coming to you just to tell you a little bit about me personally, so that you know who you're listening to and maybe why you would want to listen to me at all. You may not, and that's okay. But this is me, raw and real, and I am a morning person. I love mornings, and that's when my brain is, especially now that I'm alcohol free, mornings are my jam. And they've always been my jam, but now I'm I'm excited when my eyes wake up and my feet hit the floor. None of that dread of ugh. And just trying to survive on coffee. Now I can really enjoy my coffee. I enjoy the taste of it. I don't need too much of it to survive, because I'm thriving now that I have provided my body with a little more life-sustaining things versus life-draining things on a daily basis. Um, so anyway, I am Felicia Holmes. Welcome for those of you that are listening for the first time, and that will be most of you because this is literally only my second episode. So thanks for joining me and tuning in to Own It for Good. And in the first episode, I gave just a little bit of sort of a synopsis of why I came up with this program, what Own It means. And I will try to put that down below in the show notes, for those of you to write down. I'm also in the process of getting my website all ready and social media. Some say I may be putting the cart before the horse, but I'm a verbal processor, y'all. And I am a podcast junkie myself. So, and YouTube junkie, all the self-help, I am that girl. So I thought I should just use this medium since, as a platform to speak, since this is what I personally use and seek out for myself. I'm an avid reader, again, podcast junkie, self-help development junkie that started, oh gosh, that's about 10 years ago now that I've really been on this journey of self-discovery. Actually, probably a little bit longer than that. Once I had kids, and my oldest now is a freshman in college, and my youngest is a freshman in high school. I have a boy and a girl. Boy's the older one. And when I became a young mom and got to stay at home, I stayed home full time with when Avery was born, my youngest. And I soon, without that schedule, started probably drinking a little bit more than I should, enjoying the wine at night because I knew I didn't have to show up for work the next day. Although motherhood is very demanding. But if the kids napped, I could nap with them, and I was not that mom that had to have a perfect house. So I was okay with actually taking a nap, and sort of that was my way to sort of cope with it. But, as life does tend to happen and unfold, and big events happen, then the drinking shifted to more of I kind of need that glass of wine. Wine does, and alcohol in general, most of you all know, does create sort of a thirst for itself. It is an addictive substance, but a lot of our knowledge and attitude towards alcohol and people that quote unquote have a problem has been formed by Alcoholics Anonymous. And the alcohol industry as well has supported that because in the AA paradigm or disease paradigm, people are the problem versus the substance. And I grew up with an alcoholic father. He actually passed away from alcoholism. at the age of 58. So much too young, much too young. And I've had two of his brothers have also passed alcohol-related suicide. Um, and my grandfather on my mother's side, and her father, my grandfather. So on both family lines, it's everywhere. And yet, because of the understanding of, you know, not wanting to have the label of alcoholic and have this disease and me be the disease model actually allowed me to think, oh, I don't have that disease, so I'm safe to drink alcohol. I was able to have sort of that belief in my head. Yeah, even though my dad is an alcoholic, I don't have those addictive tendencies that people talk about. I wasn't overdoing a lot of things in my life. Um, so I really thought that I was safe. I could safely drink. It wasn't a problem. And for a long time, and for many of you, maybe even listening, you're like, and it's not a problem for me either. And if you're still listening, maybe it is. Or listening or watching. Maybe it is a problem. But you've convinced yourself, well, is it really? And I don't want to have to go to AA. I don't want to have to put this label on myself. And I'm so glad that the conversation is changing. I want to join that conversation. I want to be part of that conversation because there is so much science out there now, and new from not just brain science and just biology and science, but also psychology has made a lot of leaps with their understanding of mental health and techniques to really help people. And that is really, there's a lot of, and I'm not here to bash AA at all. I benefited from Al-Anon as a teen. I probably could have benefited from a lot more. But I am here. I think that, there's a lot of room for everybody to be on the same page now. And it's not an us versus them. It's people waking up to, and I like to use the analogy of the emperor has no clothes. And we're going to see alcohol and call it out for what it actually is, which is an addictive, toxic substance. So, and you will get addicted to it. And it's not an if, but when. And those of you that are daily drinkers, even if it's one or two, just know where that train is headed, which is an analogy that Annie Grace uses, who is the author of This Naked Mind and who has a similar podcast and a 30-day program, and other programs as well, for just taking a break from alcohol and learning about it. I am part of a community that I mentioned on my first episode at the end called Sobersis.com. It's a women's only, and it's also has a faith component, which is very important to me. That's just part of who I am. And but it uses a lot of the same new information and science and psychology to really help deal with and change our relationship with alcohol and live a sober-minded life. And we in our community allow women to decide what that looks like for them. For me personally, it's 100% alcohol-free, and I have never felt better. But anyway, let's back up just a minute. I know I'm rambling. I'm doing this freestyle. But about 10 years ago is when I started taking my first breaks. Maybe when Avery was young, and she's going to be 16 now. So actually when she was probably 3 or 4 is when I really started thinking, maybe I shouldn't be drinking every day. And I discovered Daniel Amen, the neuroscientist, and he did a program on PBS back in the days when PBS, I used to watch that quite a bit actually. But he did this wonderful program that he made available on PBS called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And there's a book. And so I actually ordered all of that, but it captivated me. And he didn't talk about alcohol explicitly, but within that, he was like, and, here's what alcohol does to the brain. And when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I don't want to do that. And so I actually did take a break for a while when I first started learning about the science. But all my friends drank, my husband and I, that was sort of not that we drank all the time together, but, that was part of our relationship dynamic, going out to dinner and having drinks and on the weekends. And it was just such a part of our family fabric, and having people over on the weekends and barbecues and, all the things. And so I'll just drink a little. But for those of you that have ever, maybe negotiated or said you'd take a break or drink less, you kind of know how that goes. So very quickly, I kind of was like, well, it's really not that bad, and kind of sort of forgot about how bad it really was, and was able to rationalize it. And I like to, when I say that now, and a friend told me, she was like, that word, you can break it down to rational lie. Thanks, Gina. It's my friend Gina who does that. And so I really use that. That's what our brain does. It rationally lies to us. We rationalize a lot, don't we, in our lives? And so anywho, fast forward, I took a few more breaks, but being introduced to Daniel Amen really opened me up to this whole new world of, oh, wow, we can read about and talk about and listen. The iPhone was being birthed about the same time, and this whole world of podcasting, and then YouTube would come later. And so I really dove headfirst into this world of learning more about how my brain worked and how my mind worked and how my personality worked, and with other people, all of that. And my next introduction was to Byron Katie, who wrote the wonderful book called Loving What Is. And the work, Daniel Amen actually uses the work and referenced her in his program. So like one author, expert led to another. And here I am, this many years later, hoping that I can even contribute, and if I can even help one person who listens to this and that relates to me, that I can help somebody else. And I am this close to being a certified coach. I really wanted to learn the techniques of coaching and what that really looks like. I know anybody in the world now can just call themselves a coach, can write books, call themselves experts, but I really care, and I don't want to and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because I actually follow people like that, and I'm part of community of people that have been brave enough to say, hey, I've figured a thing or two out. I would love to just help other people. Sobersis developed that way, and our wonderful leader, Jen Couch, just felt a calling on her life to step out and do that. Annie Grace has done the same thing. The founders of 1 Year No Beer. So all of these people that have just said, you know what? Being alcohol free feels amazing. Let's see if we can get other people to join us and start this new sort of health conscious revolution, being sober just for the health of it. And it's not a moral thing. It doesn't have to be a forever thing. But what could your life be like if you took a break from alcohol? Okay, back to the story just a little bit. This is me being freestyle. I can kind of, squirrel, and I'm just going to roll with it. I'm going to try to keep my episodes to 20 to 30 minutes, because that's the bite size that I love. It's the perfect amount to take the dogs out for a walk and learn a little something new. So I'm sure maybe you're doing the same thing, and or watching this with your morning coffee, like I like to watch with YouTube videos if you're finding me there. So I decided to go back to work full time. I was skating by on this sort of coffee in the morning, a few glasses of wine at night, and maybe a nap in the day if I needed it, and volunteering a lot. Yes, that was me. I was at the church volunteering, doing all the things, running a MOPS program, running a prison ministry program that was wonderful. So that was leading to a lot of what they call cognitive dissonance in our world. And that is when you feel divided and you're not living integrated, as I talked about in the first episode. That's one of my main things. I was not living with integrity, and I knew it. But again, I was able to rationalize, and I was very afraid of what a big change like this would do to my life. But I dove into a career as a real estate agent at the age of 45. I just turned 49, and my stepfather had just passed away from COPD. I was still kind of in the throes of grief from losing my father at the age of 58, and I might tell a little bit more about his story, but it was very, anyway. So a lot to deal with in the last 10 years of losing people, and threw myself into this new career of real estate, and quickly became, one of the top in my office. I won Rookie of the Year for all of our metro area and the surrounding counties, which in my first year, well, obviously Rookie, yeah, you know what that means. So I was kind of burning the candle at both ends, and it was fine for a while until it wasn't. And in the midst of all of this, and as I was listening to people like Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School on podcasts, and all of these wonderful coaches that were rising up, and I started coaching myself. And in that process, and I mentioned Chalene Johnson as well, some of my favorites, I started really having this internal conversation with myself. Okay, I think, Houston, we may have a problem here, but still not quite ready. I talked about sort of that pre-soak cycle in the washing machine. And I was soaking all of this information in, and it was slowly starting to loosen some of this dirt off, if you will, of resistance to making changes. And I was watching enough people that had made the changes that I was starting in that work on the other side of alcohol, that were really like, come on, you've got to join us. You've got to see what this is like, and encouraging and making it look so appealing that I was like, maybe I should give this a try. And I was on a summer vacation, and my daughter wanted to buy me something. She came running back, and she was old enough to go to the store next to our beach house. And she wanted to buy something wine themed for me. And that's when I sort of had this, like, one of those moments, those moments. I was like, heck to the no. This is not okay with me. And if my 12-year-old was thinking of me being synonymous with wine, this was not okay with me. So deep breath so that was my moment. And I don't know what your moment is, if this resonates at all with you, but I really I felt like, I think I'm ready. I've had enough internal conversations about it. I've had enough trying, to drink only on the weekends. And, I would only buy one bottle of wine at the liquor store. so hopeful that that would be the day that somehow magically the I don't want any more wine fairy would land on me, and I would be that person that could take it or leave it just magically without having to try or do any work. Yes, don't we all wish that? Um, a lot of us that struggle with weight as well, that have put on a few pounds in our 40s. Um, Hello, still working on that one. Um, kind of wish the same thing. We try the same things with diet. Whatever your struggle is and whatever your thing that you need to own, your own it item, you try to dance around it, try to straddle the fence, have your cake, eat it too. Like we all go through that. Like if you're human, you go through that. I mean, there is the rare human out there that maybe is so self-disciplined, but maybe even that is their thing. They're so rigid and so self-disciplined that that's their thing they need to own and relax. Like us humans, we do all of this. Um, so I finally, in the summer of 2018, joined a group called 1 Year No Beer. They are two guys out of the UK, Andy Ramage and Rory Fairbanks, that started an online group. And there were many popping up around the world. This was just the first one that I happened to, it pops up on your Facebook feed. People are like, how do they know? Well, anybody that knows about social media and marketing, they find you. They know who their people are and what keywords to put in to have their ads pop up. And and that's a wonderful community. Loved it. Did a 90-day break, 90 days. And so that felt amazing. But still, you know, right? And when my 90 days was done, I was so proud of myself. I felt so good. I had lost weight. My skin was better. Everything was better. And, but our wedding anniversary fell right on day 90, or it was like day 89, something like that. And I just couldn't imagine. We had this beautiful trip planned to Florida, and I just couldn't imagine doing a big thing like that, alcohol-free. So, I timidly had a glass of champagne or wine at our first night out. I think our resort even greeted us with champagne. And yeah, and so began. But I was definitely very much in this mindset of, I think this is the lifestyle that I want, alcohol-free lifestyle. And that's what Jen calls our program within Sobersis, our larger program, alcohol-free lifestyle, because it really is a lifestyle. And like any lifestyle, there may be people within it that don't do forever. Maybe they do say it's okay to have the glass of champagne at a wedding. And we give people the freedom to decide that. Of course we do, because people have free will. You can do whatever you want to do. But a lifestyle is, in general, I am not a drinker. I live an alcohol-free lifestyle. And for me, that's just 100%. Like, I don't even want to flirt with it, go back. But I spent all of 2019 sort of, a few weeks off, a few weeks on, that kind of thing, until finally in October, we were moving houses, and I thought, this is the perfect time. New house, new lifestyle. Like, let's just do it, girl. Let's just start eating this elephant one bite at a time. Let's just do it. And I did. October 27th of 2019 was when I took my last drink. And because I had enjoyed the community and the online challenge enough, or really a lot, I decided to do a couple of other programs to get me started. And Rachel Hart is another one. I can't believe I haven't mentioned her yet. She's amazing. She has a podcast called Take a Break. And she is a coach or got certified or learned or whatever through Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School. Wonderful program. Anyway, she created something that was great. It's called Take a Break with Rachel Hart. She's awesome. So I did a couple of months with her. Anyway, I kind of went to a few different programs before God finally put in front of me Sobersis, Jen Couch. And then I knew I had found home. And I had even done the alcohol experiment with Annie Grace, another wonderful program. So whatever works for you. I'm a Sobersis gal, and if you're a dude listening to me, obviously you can't join Sobersis, but there are programs out there for you too, like 1 Year No Beer. There's so many good ones, and I will mention more of them as I, do these episodes. And I encourage you to find the right fit for you because, if you've ever worked with a therapist, like you have to find your tribe, the vibe of your tribe and your people that you resonate with. There's so many out there, and there are more popping up every day. There are one-to-one coaches. There are group coaching, these online challenges. Those are often very good for people starting out, especially in the gray area drinking spectrum that aren't fully addicted. You're not waking up and you have to have alcohol. If you're not in that, if you are in that place, you probably need medical supervision and an actual, a medically led team to help you detox. But those of you that are in this gray area spectrum, that's what we call this now, of, you're just drinking a little too much and, it's not helping you. And if you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s and you just know your body's like, it just can't handle it the way that it did when you were maybe in your 20s or 30s. So whatever your age or spectrum, we're all different. But we're all in this together. We all have something that we need to own. For me, the first thing that before I could even think about losing the 50 pounds that I want to lose, I couldn't do that if I was drinking an extra 500 calories of wine a night. Yes, but I tried. I did try. and some people even give up food. They're going to drink their calories instead. And so anyway, I could just go on, but that's sort of my little journey in a nutshell that led to me really having to own it. I had to really own my shit. And this has been a journey of really excavating, digging, really looking at the truth of why I was drinking. Why was I using this to cope? There are a lot of maladaptive, dysfunctional things that I grew up in our family. No boundaries, codependency, all kinds of things that get uncovered. And as Brooke says, if you're drinking too much, it's because there's something in your life that you're tolerating, that if you were not drinking, you would not tolerate. Simple as that. So what is it about your life that you're tolerating that maybe you need to look squarely in the face and own? And get the cobwebs and the alcohol out. And that's the first thing that has to happen. We have to get that out first because our brain is just not working properly and our body is not working properly. We're not sleeping, all of the things. There's scientific reasons to give yourself a clean 100% abstinence break from alcohol. I recommend a minimum of 21 days. That's what we do start with in Sobersis, but really 90 days total is ideal. And in Sobersis, we start you off with a 21-day break. Hey, it's not scary. Anybody can do it. And then we have a 10-week alcohol-free lifestyle course that you can go straight into. So again, that's a cumulative of 90 days. That is the ideal. But wherever you go, and if you're even thinking about this at all, I can't encourage you enough. It is so worth it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And you need to own it. And I appreciate you listening to me. I sometimes can talk with my hands, as you've seen. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, those of you that are listening on in the podcast land, oh man, I love you. I love you, podcast people. You're my people, and YouTube as well. All of you, any of you that are like even listening to somebody talk about deep stuff like this. And thank you for letting me share a little bit of my personal, just alcohol thought process around my own journey and scratching the surface of that. I haven't gone too deep with a lot of other things, but in a nutshell, this is why I'm here and what I have done the last decade or so of scratching the surface of going, I think we have a problem here, and just keep scratching it a little bit until finally you're like, well, maybe I should find out why I'm itching, you know? And again, own it for good. All right, I think that's enough. I've hit my limit. I really appreciate you all tuning in for episode number 2 of Own It for Good. And I look forward to getting to know you better. I so appreciate and thank you for giving me 30 minutes of your time today. I know there's a lot of other people out there and voices you could be listening to, and just so appreciate you listening to me. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day. Keep listening if you want to hear a little bit more about being alcohol free and the lifestyle that offers, and all the perks of being sober minded, and or even learning a little bit more about, oh, what is this concept of owning it, and thinking through, and maybe you don't know what you need to own yet, and we can discover that together. All right, have a great day. Bye now.